I think I'm doing it. I'm new to all this live stuff and it's not my thing, but I'm trying to get some information to everybody out there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at the same time, so I'm trying to look between both cameras. But anyways, just wanted to let you guys know, if you are a small business owner, this information is for you. I've been super busy all week. Earlier this week or late last week, I was on a phone call with the president. He wanted to talk to small business owners. Secretary of the Treasury, that was cool. I've been reading all the new fun COVID bills that are coming out. This week, I was on a call with the SBA director. They were showing us and talking to us about the new laws that have been passed and the things that are out for small business owners. And then this morning, I was on a call with Inc. and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And so we were talking more about the things that are about to pass, the things that already have passed. But anyway, I wanted to get some basic information out there. Of course, with any laws or bills, there's always caveats to everything. So specific situations or instances to your business may or may not apply, but I wanted to get some info out there to get you small business owners starting to think about decisions that you're having to make now and in the next couple of weeks due to all this COVID stuff. So just something I wanted to cover on things you could be doing now is start tracking data. So if you had to close, start tracking the date that you had to close. And if you had to lay people off or payroll's being affected or you're having to not let contractors work, however that works, start writing down those dates that you're making those changes so that when you need to start filing paperwork for relief or anything that you might be doing in the future, you already have that data available. The other thing is where we can help you if you don't have it in place yet, you need to get your financial books in order. So they're going to be wanting to know about historical revenue data, historical payroll data. They're going to want to probably see a budget at some point in terms of what do you have to pay over the next couple of months in terms of if you're going to apply for any lending or relief that's coming up. You're going to have all that eventually to apply for this stuff if you are not already. So a couple other suggestions I make are call and defer any payments you can if you're in a cash crunch. So they're saying that most small businesses have about 1 to 2 months of savings, if that. So if you can call lenders and request, deferments and payment, do that. They may not all offer it, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And what I'm hearing most from the SBA and the Chamber of Commerce is don't lay off people if you don't have to. So by next week, we already have one relief bill in order, but by today there should be another one signed. And by next week, you should be able to apply for some immediate relief. And if you lay off people, that could get you less relief than if you keep them employed for the next couple of days. So in some instances, you're not going to be able to do that. In some, you will. But those are just some things to think about. Anyway, so I'm going to move on to programs available. So the programs that I've been learning all about, these new relief bills that you guys are seeing that are getting passed, there's technically 2 to 3 programs available. There's tax credits to think about for payroll. There is what they call the idle loan. We'll talk about these some basics about each one in a second. And then there's the PPE loan, which is the payroll and operational forgiveness loan is what I'm calling it. And then obviously some changes in unemployment for people that have been laid off. But one good suggestion that one of the people on the call today from the U.S. Chamber said was, as a small business owner, the idle loan is a loan, no matter how you look at it. So things to think about is, yes, most people are going to qualify for this loan and most people are going to need it. But remember, it's still debt that you have to pay back. So, you want to be thinking about what do you need to pay, what do you need to borrow, and can you pay it back when that's all over? Those were kind of some 3 questions she said to think through. We think sometimes like, oh, free money as a small business, let's take it and sign up for as much as we can. But in this instance, you want to just, that's where getting the financials in order and having a budget and knowing how much you need to borrow to get through the next couple of months is going to be important when you start to apply for this stuff. So we'll talk about those 3 things shortly, but another thing I just wanted to mention is if you haven't heard yet, there has been an extension to filing your tax returns. So that extension goes to July 15th. So if you had returns due in less than a month, by April 15th, that's been extended to July 15th. And if you're a sole prop or you're making estimated tax payments, the 2020 payment extension, you normally would have to pay your payment on 4/15. That's been extended to 7/15 also. In terms of your local state extensions, check with your local state. So in Mississippi, where I am today, I think they're only extending out to June because of their fiscal year, so they can't extend with the federal deadline to July. So just make sure to check for state extensions there as well. Not a ton has come out in terms of tax credits. There's going to be a payroll tax credit. I've heard that there's going to be an extension of net operating loss, and then there's also like an improvements credit that's extended from 2017. So get with your CPA on questions if you have questions about those things. I know very minimal information enough to tell you to ask your CPA if you should take those over these loans or how you should kind of work through that. This is a time where having a bookkeeper, having a CPA, those kind of people in your corner, that's already the team that you've built. This is where we come in to help you and advise you on the decisions you should make going forward with all the changes that are happening. But this is what we do. We're on these calls and listening to all the things coming out and all of the information and processing through what might be relevant to you as our client or you as a small business owner. So if you're not our client and you have questions, please email or call us, contact us on our website. But I digress. So 2 of the programs that are coming up, one is available to apply as of this week. Another one is going to pass most likely today, and they're hoping to have you be able to apply for it next week. So I just really wanted to talk about some basics of those because I was a little confused on what they were when I was talking to a banker and he was like, well, which loan do they want to apply for? And I was like, I didn't know there was more than one. So there are a couple. One's available to apply for today. One should be available to apply for next week. So I just wanted to give you some basics on those. The first one is the EIDL loan. So that's the one that was passed last week, and you can apply on the SBA.gov website. And that is 3.75% interest or 2.75% for nonprofits. The term for that is 30 years. You can extend it all the way to 30 years. And they're offering a 1-year deferment of your first payment. So this is kind of like the conventional loan, but easier to get for if you're a small business owner, having cash flow and paying payroll and operational costs. You couldn't really get a loan for that very well before now, but they've released some kind of restrictions on that and are allowing you to apply for that now. So that's kind of some basic terms for that loan. Most small businesses can apply and qualify, including nonprofits, which nonprofits didn't used to be able to qualify for SBA loans, but in this instance they can. And then I heard yesterday on the SBA call that churches, you cannot apply for this loan if you, it's for like the religious activities, the part of the church operations, but if it's for something that's like community driven, like an outreach center or something of that nature that's helping the community with this crisis, you can apply for a loan for those costs, just FYI. You can use the funds from the EIDL loan for payroll and operational costs, where most generally loans previous you couldn't do that, or it was harder to get lending for that. And in regards to the second loan I'm going to talk about, this loan won't be forgiven, but it does have a $10,000 grant attached to it. So if you apply for the EIDL loan, you basically automatically get the $10,000 grant. What it is kind of a prepayment to the loan, but the SBA director told us yesterday that if you apply for the EIDL loan and you don't get it for whatever reason, you still get the $10,000. So that can help you with like operating costs quickly. I will tell you, I've had a couple people apply this week. They applied Monday and we haven't necessarily heard anything. So they are catching up all their systems and all those things, but now's the time to apply for that and get all the paperwork in. It's pretty simple paperwork, but if you need help, just reach out to us. We have all the forms saved and directions typed up in terms of what you'll need in order to fill the paperwork out. So that's kind of the basics on the EIDL loan. There is a caveat in there you may read where if you have sources to other credit, does that disqualify you from applying for this EIDL loan? The answer we were told was no. Just because you can get credit from another bank or institution doesn't mean you're disqualified from being able to get the EIDL loan. So they didn't go into detail about what that verbiage meant yesterday, but he was clear on that didn't disqualify you from this. Also, if you have a current SBA loan, so Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, if you had like a previous loan from Katrina or economic disaster loan previously, or from any other disaster, they are granting 6-month deferment on those loans that you may already have in place. So if you have that and you don't have a lot of cash flow right now, you can call and they should allow you a 6-month deferment on those loans. So I found that out today, so that's nice to know. The second program kind of loan that they're offering is really payroll heavy. So if you have payroll or you pay contractors, this would be a good one. This is the one that is supposed to pass today and that you should be able to apply for by next week. So it's expected to be signed into law today, hopefully. They're in session right now. That one is 4% interest and the term on that is 10 years. This can also be used to cover payroll and operational expenses. And the deal with this one is the first 8 weeks of payroll and operational expenses will be forgiven. And I think that it's by July of next year or June, some term like that. Anything over and above that timeline today will be as the terms appear above. So the 4% interest and the 10-year term would kick in there. But if you only need it for that 2-month period of time, this would be a great thing to apply for to get you through the next 10 months or 8 weeks, 2 months, and keep your employees employed and pay your operational expenses, because that will essentially be forgiven at the end of the period of time that they're writing the bill up for. Also to note, you can apply for both the EIDL and the PPE loan, but you must use them for different purposes. So you can't use the EIDL loan to pay off payroll and the PPE loan to pay off payroll and that get wiped away, if that makes sense. So how I understand it right now is really do the PPE loan for the 8 weeks of time. That's where your budget comes into play. How much is your payroll going to cost and your operational expenses going to cost for the next 8 weeks? And that's what you would want to apply for. I don't really know why you would want to apply for over that, but maybe somebody does. So another thing about the forgiveness, so if you know anything about debt forgiveness, you usually get a 1099 at the end of the year and you actually have to pay taxes on that forgiveness amount. That is waived in this case. So the 8 weeks of payroll and operational expenses, the loan that you get will be forgiven, and that's not taxable to you later. So it doesn't harm you. I really feel like what they're trying to do is keep businesses open, keep people employed, so that, you know, businesses don't go bankrupt and people don't claim unemployment. So they're really working hard at the Chamber and the SBA to really help us get through this period of time, which is awesome. And to tell you the truth, I'm impressed with all the information, all the phone calls I've been invited to be in, and how they're feeding the information to us so that we can get it out to you guys. So resources, kind of finishing up here. I'm going to try to do these more as we're learning more information. I just wanted to get some basic information out there for people to start thinking about and making decisions, and or reaching out to your CPA or, you know, your business consultants or whoever your team of people are to really start making those decisions. But great resources to follow is, or if you need more information on things, sba.gov/disaster gives you lots of information. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is putting out like a daily update of things that are changing. It's really great. So if you go to U.S. Chamber of Commerce, it's www.uschamber.com/coronavirus. But you can also sign up for the newsletter that's coming out, and I'm getting that daily. That's pretty helpful. And then your local chambers of commerce. So I know here in Mississippi, our Gulf Coast Chamber is amazing. And they have like a whole coronavirus update page. And so you can probably find your local state requirements, regulations, help there. Those are all great resources to follow. Like our page, share our page, because I'm going to try to be giving basic information out to just kind of help you guys know what questions to ask your accounting team and your CPA tax preparers and all those people to kind of help you get through this. So thanks for watching my live video. Have a great day.